Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Kevin Hill. I'm a Cloud Solutions Architect at NetApp. I'll be your host today. Today we're going to be covering NetApp Cloud Sync, how to synchronize your data quickly and securely with AWS S3, as well as being able to leverage AWS services. I do have everyone muted. If you do have questions, please feel free to enter the questions and I'll try to address them as they come in. If I can. If not, then I'll definitely save time at the end to address the questions that you've asked. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things to set context, what are we trying to do? We're trying to simplify transporting your data into the cloud or maybe from the cloud. And as we know, working with customers, working with everyone who's actually making the journey to the cloud, we know that data is critical to everyone's business. We end up having larger amounts and larger amounts of data continually. So that's the only thing that's going to keep growing. And having a way to manage our data or our big data or leverage that in different ways is really kind of what the cloud brings to us. And organizations are asking and seeking ways to be able to do this transport efficiently, securely, and also, above all, simply. So just to set some context, who is NetApp? No audio. Actually, let's, I guess there's a question, there's no audio. Does anyone else have any audio issues? All right. Okay, thank you guys. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so so just for context, for those of you who are not familiar with NetApp, NetApp is a company who focuses on enterprise data management. That's what we're focused on. We actually want to help people do things with their data in a very secure, very efficient, and a very effective manner. We also end up having different forms of industry-leading replication, either with our storage systems and also with our services. But mainly, the thing that we're trying to do for you is to go ahead and ensure that you can use the cloud resources that best fit your needs, either in a private cloud or in a public cloud, and leverage the best of all worlds per your own choice. We don't care who you use. We want to enable you to use the resources that best fit your needs. Now, what happened here? With Cloud Sync, we actually partnered with AWS for Amazon Web Services to be able to offer a way to get your data into Amazon S3 in a very efficient and fast manner. We're industry leaders in data management. Amazon Web Services is who they are, the leader in cloud services, and it's a very good synergy, that we offer here for our customers. Now, talking about the Cloud Sync service, what is it? And how does it work effectively? So we developed what we'll call a data broker to be able to go ahead and continuously synchronize your data to the cloud. Now, when I say continuously synchronize, it is an asynchronous relationship, not a synchronous one, so there's a schedule. But the way that Cloud Sync actually operates, it helps you avoid long upload times, which you traditionally find with do-it-yourself methods or other offerings that are out there that will help you get your data to S3. So the other thing here is that you can also set your schedule. You can also identify how frequently you want that synchronization to take place. Now, once your data is up in S3, you have the option of doing whatever it is you want, but you also have the services that AWS can bring to bear. Elastic MapReduce, Redshift, maybe if you are trying to transition into using relational database services, that's another option. Another one that I like, because of the recent object tagging that has been put in place, is Athena. Be able to use standard SQL queries to be able to mine your data in better fashions, not just the data, but the metadata on what type of data it is. So very, very, very easy to try and use. Now, the next part is not only can you get your data into the cloud, but you can get your data back out of the cloud. So depending upon what you're trying to do, if you're actually just going on-prem into the cloud using some of the services, then you can get the results and then ship those back to your NFS server. Now, you can either do that, or if you're maybe another application that's really was born in the cloud, you have your data that might be in S3, but now you want to get it out of S3 and push it onto some other on-premises system. This is another way of doing that as well. Now, you can see that I've listed a NetApp storage system as the NFS system of choice. We hope that you are using a NetApp storage system, but it does not have to be a NetApp storage system. It can be any NFS server, even if it's just a plain Jane Linux box you've stood up. And I'm not sure I have it listed anywhere here, but we do support NFS v3 and v4. So now, why Cloud Sync? What is the reason for actually using Cloud Sync? Well, one of the main things is that Cloud Sync is a service. It's not a tool. It's not a DIY thing. So you don't need to manually configure anything. I know rsync is something that's really quick and easy and something that's nice to use. I've used it myself. There's also, the AWS command line interface. There's the S3 command line interface. There's, some other tools, but those require configuration and continual, tweaking. You don't need to do that here. The other thing is, because this is a service, you get a dashboard view of all your synchronization relationships. This is just one such copy. You get to see where the source is, what the destination is, when's the last time everything was synchronized, how much was transferred, and so on. The other thing, again, you get to set the schedule, quickly and easily, and for each individual synchronization relationship that you put in place. I see there's a couple of questions. There's a question about NFS and CIFS. I'll just say wait for it. I'll talk to that in just a second. But you can set the schedules quickly and easily. I'll show you how we can do that. The other part is it's very cost effective for consumers. Most synchronization tools or offerings are based upon capacity, amount of gigabytes transferred. Cloud Sync is actually charged on the relationships that you have in place. It's not by capacity. So depending upon the number of relationships you have, that's what's the charging factor. And as you scale up or actually have more synchronization relationships, the cost per relationship reduces. And I can touch on that in a little bit, because I will be showing you guys a demo. Now, the other thing too is Cloud Sync it keeps a catalog. You only baseline once, and then it's just incrementals forever. So that way is also different, because some of the tools you have to ship everything every time. There's no catalog. But with us, again, we keep a catalog of what's been shipped up, what's there. If you end up deleting something, updating something, adding new, those are the only changes that will get synchronized either up into S3 or back from S3. So, and the other part is it's fast. See, I've got a slide issue. Whoops. It's fast. Basically, on the way that we do things, it's actually much faster than some DIY offerings. To touch on that briefly, I tried to put together some slides to give you some context. Why are we faster than other methods? One is our engine is actually very, very good at flooding a pipe for actually transmitting the data up into S3 or back, but we parallelize our streams. So we'll go and look at the catalog of what's in the file system. We'll break that up into multiple transports, and then we'll run them at the same time. If we're comparing it to something like rsync is serial, and it has to walk through each of the file systems and directories serially. So while we're actually going to complete, rsync would still be processing. So this is where, for this small example, our parallelization of the operations makes it extremely fast. And there's another question. Is there support for Amazon Snowball? Not at this time. That's something that we're going to be looking into, but I'll take that back to product management to see where that might be. Now, what's new? Here's a couple other things that might address one of the questions that came up, but hopefully this is also showing you what might be new if you're already familiar with the Cloud Sync service. And also maybe if you're not, it'll show you what we have now as well as what's coming in the very near future. So again, Cloud Sync is a service, and we end up doing weekly updates. And I'm not kidding, we actually do weekly updates. It's a little hard to keep track of sometimes, but we're embracing moving at the speed of cloud. So we're continually adding new features, customers come to us with other requests, those are continually being introduced, and we're just making it, better and better at a very rapid pace. Now, one of the new updates, which I don't believe I mentioned before, is that we can now create data brokers not only in your AWS account, but we can also create a data broker on premises as well on a virtual machine. Now, a data broker is the actual engine that helps with identifying, after you've identified the NFS file system, it's the one that actually helps do the actual data transport. And there's another question. When you sync to AWS, you have 2 copies. So when you sync to AWS, you have 2 copies, one on-prem and another in AWS. If so, when the on-prem file changes, the change also auto-sync to AWS. So, I'll rephrase that a little bit. So the question was, once you synchronize from your NFS file system up to AWS S3, is it the same exact copy of the file system? The answer is yes. If you make a change on premises for a file, adding, deleting, updating, will those be auto-synchronized up to AWS? The answer is yes, at the next synchronization schedule. So you may have a lag depending upon what your synchronization schedule is, but those changes will automatically be synchronized when the next synchronization schedule kicks off. So, but again, the data broker, we've been asked by some folks that they did not want to actually put their data broker in AWS. They actually wanted to have it on a virtual machine internally. So that is an option. You can actually synchronize through a data broker up to your AWS S3 bucket. One other thing that we've done for new updates is integration with On-Command Cloud Manager. So if you're familiar with ONTAP Cloud, Cloud Manager is the intuitive user interface that allows you to go ahead and deploy ONTAP systems in your AWS account. But there's also integration with CloudSync as well, and I can show you that in the demo. And let's see. There's a couple other questions. Let's see if I can get to them in a second. Let me get through part of the updates here, and then I'll try and address some of the questions. So the other thing too is people have been asking, all right, great, I've got security or compliance and regulatory requirements that I can't go into the cloud. Do you support another S3 protocol destination? The answer is now yes. We actually support StorageGrid WebScale, our object-based offering with the S3 protocol as a destination. So for people you can't go into the cloud with their data, you can still end up using the CloudSync service to be able to synchronize your data to an object store. Now, this is specifically right now today available, but it's only going to be for NFS going to StorageGrid WebScale as a destination. Now, one of the futures is going to be be able to go ahead and make that round trip. If you want to go back from StorageGrid WebScale down to your NFS file system. So that's using it as the StorageGrid WebScale as a source of data. Now the other part here, someone asked it before, SIFs. Do we support SIFs? The answer is SIFs is coming very soon. It's been a constant request, and because we do updates very fast, it's not going to be next quarter or the end of year. It's actually going to be coming. I want to say in the next couple of months. I can't really commit to the time, but it will be coming very, very soon. I know that's something that we're looking to have out and available very, very quickly. Now, as far as for some of the questions, let's see what we're having here. How would I migrate my 3 database systems, MySQL servers, to AWS and perform a migration with minimal downtime? Each of these databases has up to 20 terabytes, 10 terabytes, 3 terabytes of data. So as far as for migrating your MySQL data, yeah, actually, how would you end up doing that? Because if you don't want to take downtime, you might want to actually try and do a data export, to be able to then go ahead and be able to push that up into AWS, into S3, and then you would be able to go ahead and maybe pull that into RDS. This would probably be a little bit longer conversation, and I would actually say, please contact me, and then we can actually get a little bit more deeper answer. My email address is hill@netapp.com, so hill@netapp.com. So the question was, is this the other question for doing the synchronization S3, is it a file or block level sync? It is a file level sync. So if you end up changing only 1 or 2 blocks, you're still going to be sending the file, because that's the thing that's going to be referenced as an actual readable object in S3. And with the data broker on-prem, is there any need for the network extension to AWS via VPN? So the answer, so if you're using the data broker in this example on premises and trying to use that to go up to AWS S3, the answer is there's going to need to be some limited outbound network connectivity, because this, since this is a service, it's actually using the AWS software as a service billing model. So it's going to be some very limited outbound network traffic, but it will not need to actually be a VPN connection into your AWS VPC. So unless, of course, you're actually using the model where you've got your on-premises NFS file system, you're using the on-prem data broker, and you're then going into AWS S3 bucket. So that's an option. So in that scenario, you would need a VPN, but if you're actually trying to be all on-prem, you can keep everything within your own internal network, but you'd still have to have some sort of proxy or limited communication with the AWS software as a service. Wow, more questions, geez. I'll see if I can get to all of these. How is this different than NetApp's AltaVault solution? Okay, great question. AltaVault is a backup and recovery or archive appliance. What happens is it also uses storage efficiencies like deduplication, compression, encryption. So what happens is it will also break things up into slabs to be very efficient on the API calls to S3. So when it puts it into S3, it's just bits and bytes, ones and zeros. You can't read it and can't use it. With Cloud Sync, we're not doing any of that. You put that into the S3 bucket as is. You'll see the same directory structure, you'll see the same files, and so on. There's a question for are ACLs retained? I don't remember. I believe, actually, you know what? Yes, they are, because it's part of the metadata for the files that are being pushed in, because I've actually looked at that for NFS. So let's see, can you utilize AWS to store cold data via F policy? I'm not sure I understand the question. The thing is, if you're identifying the file system to, if you're identifying the file system to synchronize, it's just taking everything in that file system. So it's not really playing favorites. It'll actually take everything that's there. The other slide, so the slides and the video recording will be made available to everyone right after the webinar. And let's see, is the data broker able to integrate with an AltaVault on-prem? Okay, so the data broker is really an engine that synchronizes between your NFS file system and then also to your S3 destination. Since AltaVault uses either NFS or CIFS as the endpoint for the enterprise backup software, it really wouldn't make sense to use Cloud Sync in that way, honestly, because they're really fitting different needs. Then let's see, migrate data for archival purposes. So the question, it's either a question or a statement. I'll actually take it as a statement. The answer is yes. You can definitely migrate the data for archival purposes or for other reasons, but if you're trying to be much more efficient, in the way that you're archiving to the cloud, it could be that AltaVault might be a better solution in that regard. It depends. It really depends on how you're going to be using the data. And the idea behind Cloud Sync is that you're putting it into S3 because you need it in a usable, readable format, so you can either perform analytics, perform other services, or provide other capabilities. And I'll try and talk to those in just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm caught up. So now, hey, time for a demo. So let's get into a demo. Let me get out of this real quick. And let's see, I'll go over to my browser here. I'm hoping that everyone's seeing everything fine. I lost my window. Where's my window? Let's see, let me go over here. I'll minimize this real quick. All right, I wanted to have this enlarged, but I don't think it's going to work as well as I wanted. So here we go into a demo. So, actually the first thing I'm showing you here is cloud.netapp.com. This is probably the best place for you to go for any information for NetApp cloud offerings. The thing you can find out more about ONTAP Cloud, NetApp Private Storage, everything that we have out there, but we're going and looking at the Cloud Sync service right now. So if I click on Cloud Sync service page, where you can find out a lot more information on Cloud Sync itself. And also just getting, videos, everything else. One thing, if people have asked about costs, and I do really want to cover real quickly, if you come down on the page, this is where the cost for relationships is identified. So, 1 to 5, 6 to 20, and more than 20, and the charges for them. And again, it's per relationship, not per capacity. And let's see. The other thing, actually, there's a question. Not seeing your screen. Oh, it's still showing the presentation, really? Oh, that's not good. Hang on. Let's see, sharing. It said main screen. All right, let me do this. I will push this over here. And hopefully that is showing now. So, and apologize for the confusion. Where is my chat? Where's the chat? So, okay, so this is actually, can someone confirm if they're actually seeing the demo or the my browser now, please? Why is it not coming up? Okay. Where? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having a slight technical difficulty. Why is this not coming out? All right. Let me do something really quick. See if this is hidden for me. It hasn't. All right. So I just lost the chat pane, so I can't see if you guys are responding, unfortunately. So I'm hoping you guys are actually seeing this now. So what this is actually just a way to get into the a way to get for more information and get into the Cloud Sync service itself. Now, if you want to try and access the Cloud Sync service or take advantage of the free trial, so there's a 14-day free trial, you just simply have to click on this button here. What it'll do, it'll actually take you over to the datafabric.io URL, and this is where you can either actually log in, but if you haven't logged in, you can actually just simply quickly and easily sign up. Name, password, an email address to use as a user ID, and so on and so forth. Very, very simple. Or if you've already signed up, you can log in. So actually, I want to take you over to another system, which I've already logged in. This is actually one of my development systems. So I've actually done some other work here to show you things for the demo. So when you log in, you'll see if you already have any existing synchronization relationships. And if not, then this will actually be blank, and actually you can create a new one. The other thing I want to point out is in the lower left corner, you'll see that there's a free trial. So the free trial button, it'll show you how many days you have left. I can click on this, if I can click on it, and then this will show me, what I've got going on. So I've got 5 different sync relationships that are free right now, and then how many days I've left in the free trial. Now it's asking me to say, hey, you should subscribe to this from the AWS Marketplace. If you exceed your free trial, your data still remains, but your synchronization relationships will no longer sync until you subscribe. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe, just click on subscribe, you provided some information and walkthrough on how to go through and do the subscription, and then also some video instructions. Now, I'm not going to do that right now. The other thing too is, I showed you that there's a scale for, the charges for each of the different relationships. If you know that you're going to be using Cloud Sync for a while and you don't want to pay per relationship, you can actually go ahead and get a bring your own license from NetApp to go through and add that for Cloud Sync. And if you can simply click on add the license once you get it. Each license covers up to 20 relationships. And then if you go past the number of relationships, then that's where the same subscription model from the marketplace will start to apply once you've exceeded the number of licenses covered by the BYOL. And you can add multiple licenses. So with that, let's go look at the sync relationships. Now here, I can see I've got a couple of different things. I've got 5 synchronization relationships going between NFS and S3. I also have some that go between S3 and NFS. I see I've got a little menu option over here where I can do a few different things, either sync it now, do the schedule, or delete it. If I want to click on delete, what this will do is this will say, okay, are you confirming that you want to delete the sync relationship? And then, but also the thing to point out, it's just deleting the relationship. Any of the data that you've already synchronized either to S3 or from S3 will still remain in the target. If you want the target to be gone, you'll have to go and delete that target yourself. This is only focusing on the relationships. There's also a different view. This is a list. If I want to go ahead and see more details, I can click on the tile pane. And then here I can see different information for the sync relationships. Who the source is, what my destination is, different files that have been copied. And what's some that are interesting? Okay. This was my last copy. Actually, you know what? I had one there before. Live demo. It's not actually showing a couple of things that I wanted. But, oh, here's one that's actually showing quite a bit. This is going from one of my S3 sources, down to my NFS system, and also showing the data broker that I'm using, and how many objects that I've actually synchronized. So if I want to create a new relationship, I'll just have to click on the button here. And let's see, so click on the button. Here we actually go through and can say what direction do we want the sync to take. So this is where I can go through and go from NFS to S3. If I want to switch the direction, pretty simple, switch the direction. If I want to, and actually for here, let's just do one for NFS to S3 right now. So click on continue and define our NFS server. So which is our NFS server? I have one already defined. I'm just going to use that because I don't think I have another one I'm set up. Again, how it works, you need to make sure that you've got some sort of communication path between your NFS server and the location of your data broker, and the data broker can talk to your Amazon S3 destination. I also know that we're going to have to update this when we should update this because we can try and ship to S3 stored grid web scale as well. But this is making sure that you have a VPN connection. I happen to be coming from an ONTAP cloud system, so it's actually I know it's in the region that I want with my data broker. So I just need to select this as the NFS file system source. Click on continue. Now I can see a select a data broker. Now this is a data broker that I have, which I'll end up using. But let me show you how easy it is to launch a new data broker. I'm just going to add a new one. I can select either a data broker for AWS or an on-prem data broker. They both work the same way. I'm just going to go and deploy an AWS for now. Go ahead and give the information. Again, you view documentation or demos to actually help you if you're one of your first times in. As far as for a name, I'm just going to give it broker 1. Fine. And then create a NetApp data broker in AWS. Now what this is going to do, it's going to launch a new tab where it's going to take me into my AWS CloudFormation console. Now, the only thing that I really need to do here is I just need to go through and really kind of click next and next. What happens is we have a template for deploying the data broker stored up in AWS S3. That's just all we need to use. I can go click on next. This is the name of the data broker that we specified. We just need to identify where to launch or deploy this data broker. Now, if you're, again, this is where region matters. Your VPC or virtual private cloud is going to be in the region that you select. Right here, this one I know is in US East, so I'm in Virginia, so I'm deploying in US East. Subnet, what's the subnet I want to use? I want to use this one. A key pair file. So if you wanted to access the data broker instance itself, you need to identify a key pair file to use. And if you're using any proxy connections, so this is probably more important if you're actually on-prem, or maybe using a private subnet, and you want to try and actually have some sort of proxy to come out. But this is really where you can provide proxy information. This is one of those things that our customers have asked us to add in. I don't have any proxy information, so I'm just going to click on next. And then here we go through and we can provide key pair values for the instances. I'll just do purpose, demo, and any permissions. This is going to be fine. And I can just click on next again. And this is just a review pane. And just to acknowledge that there will be some IAM resources created. There is a small IAM policy associated with the data broker, so it can go ahead and update your S3 buckets. Click on create. And this is going to launch a CloudFormation stack. So the CloudFormation stack here is this isn't refreshed by default. So if you just click on the little refresh button, you'll see that this is being deployed. So it's going to create the data broker. Now, if I come back over to my data fabric service, I can see that it's going to take just a few minutes for that to launch. Great. That's really all it is. I mean, it took longer because I was talking to it. You just need to go through and launch it really quickly, and it'll be up and available for use in just a few minutes. Now, but let me go ahead and click on the data broker I want to highlight, and then choose this one. I'll click on continue. Now I'm looking at my NFS directories. This is root. To dive in a little bit, what else do I have as NFS mounts that I want to try and use? I can go through and say I've got Apr27. Yeah, I'll just pick Apr27. Click on continue, and then load my S3 buckets. Which S3 buckets do I have? Now, S3 buckets are global, so again, pick the region of choice. I'm in US East, not West. I've got a few different buckets here, but you know what? Let's go over to S3. Here's the same buckets, but I want to go and create a new bucket. Let's just say this is going to be fresh. So create a new bucket. Let's see, cloud sync demo bucket. Oh, yep, I know I got that one already. Web NR. How about that one? Create. So here it is. Here's a new bucket, which is empty. So let's go back over to Cloud Sync. I'll just refresh the screen real quick. It'll load our buckets. And let's see, demo bucket webinar, right? This is the one I want. So I can either just select this bucket, or I can come in and also specify a folder within this bucket. So I'll just do a folder. I'll just do Kevin, and then click on continue. Now, one of the things that we can actually do here is take advantage of putting in object tags for each of the objects that's going to be stored. So this is pretty cool. This is a new service that was introduced in November. We worked with AWS to make sure this was available. So again, I can do purpose, demo, and yep, there's that one. I want to add another one, owner, Kevin, and yeah, there's so many more that you probably use that, would be more appropriate, like department or cost center or whatever you need. But this is where those kind of things could be used very easily with a service like Athena to be able to go ahead and mine the data. What kind of data has been added out there? Okay, now we're just reviewing the sync relationship. It's how easy it is to go through and get that set up. Now this is what's going to be done. I just click on create relationship, and then I can watch the progress here. It'll be done very, very quickly, or I can go back to and view it in the dashboard. So you can run services. Now this is the last one I set up. App data to my demo bucket. let's go through and look at that in the tile. And this one, it's synchronizing, and that's actually going through and processing the data. So it's already copied almost a gig of data, and it's just going to continue. Now, doing the same thing for creating a relationship between S3, I do create sync, switch the direction, and then just specify the other direction. So it's just as quick and easy. And let me go through and do it real quick. So I'm using the same data broker because I can use the data broker as often as I want. I'll actually pick a large system here because I've got Ultron data. And where's my graph history? That's the one I want because it's got lots and lots of objects. I'll use the same NFS server and pick which directory I want to sync to. Let's say I'll do Apr27 or Apr27. Let's do Apr27. That's fine. And then continue. And then here, that's all it is. Just create the relationship, and now it's going to go through and do its synchronization as well. So come back, and here's the sync in progress. We'll get more information and details. Now this is going through and getting a catalog of all the objects. Now there's several 100,000 objects out here, and it's just going to go through and start chunking through all of them and push them over to my NFS file system. Now, the other thing I said that we have is integration with Cloud Manager. So if I come over and look at what that looks like, if I go to Cloud Manager real quick, I've already logged in. Here's a couple of the working environments. I've got an ONTAP Cloud HA system. I've got a demo, another demo system that I was just using. If I double click on this to get into the resources, I can see which file systems, which volumes I actually have a synchronization relationship on. And if I want to find out more information, I can look at the sync to S3, and this is actually showing, oh, here's my data broker that I'm using. Here's the S3 bucket that I'm going into. That's great. And then also, what volumes have I synchronized to? And I see that I've got one synchronization relationship running. Well, guess what? That's the sync from S3 down to my NFS server that I just specified, because that's this volume right here that I'm doing the synchronization to. The other thing here, I also want to go back to sync to S3 real quick. I can actually do the same kind of thing. I can say delete sync. If I delete sync, again, that's just deleting the sync relationship for this ONTAP cloud system. So it's actually removing the relationship, the synchronization relationships for all volumes that are synced to S3. It's not deleting the data. If I want to go through and remove the individual sync relationships, I need to come to the volume and then click on it, and then I can come through and actually say, that's the relationship I want to delete. And that's really all there is to it. It makes it very quick and easy to launch and deploy. If I want to create a new sync relationship, I'll just click on this one real quick. Hey, we've got a 14-day free trial to sync to Cloud Sync. Let's go and say sync. Select the NFS volumes you want to synchronize. That's easy. I can just select all of them, continue. And then a bucket that to go to, let's pick our same bucket, bucket webinar, continue. And then for this one, if we want to create a new, creating a new data broker, this is the same kind of thing that we did before. Here's the information that we want to provide, and just click on go. And that's going to create a data broker for this ONTAP cloud system. Now, if you want to use the same data broker for many different systems, you should go into the Data Fabric Cloud Sync service and then set that up. So with that, let's come back over to the presentation real quick. So the other thing here, which is kind of importance, how do you end up using things? How would you end up benefiting of using the cloud? Again, you can use any AWS service you want. You can use this as an archival destination, a quick backup data, quick backup copy. Oh, or maybe you're trying to do a tech refresh. You're going from old NFS file systems or hardware. You want to maybe not deploy swing gear. You might want to just go ahead and sync the Cloud Sync real quick, and then push the NFS data back down to the other storage system of choice. So that would be a good way of using it too. Now, one of the things I do want to show you though is I do want to show you another use case. Now, this is a use case that we have with the University Medical Facility out of the States. I can't really use their name, but they have an interesting use case because what they're trying to do is they're trying to provide public access to medical data. Now, this is actually, the medical facility is really a veterinary facility, so it's not really super personal information, but they were trying to find a way to provide access for clients' data without providing them access to the university's network. You know, they didn't want them accessing the network. IT didn't want them accessing the network. They didn't want to have that application on-prem, but they also needed it to be very quick to be able to provide the data in the timely fashion, but also be cost-effective. So enter the Cloud Sync service. They were actually using Cloud Sync to go and synchronize their data up to S3. Now, that's great, but providing public access for everyone? No, they actually went and made a custom portal that where the clients could log in. That's where they authenticated, and then from there they were able to access the files and the charts and that they wanted to access. So this was a really good solution because it was a very quick and easy way to provide near immediate access to the client's data without compromising any network security for the medical facility. So the clients were very happy. They got the access to the data in a secure fashion because of the portal that the customer put together. The customer is actually providing a lot quicker access time, and they're just very, very happy with the overall solution. So again, key difference between something like AltaVault and something like Cloud Sync, the data is put out in a very easy and usable fashion. You know what? I didn't actually show you in the S3 bucket that the data was actually there, but you can trust me that it is. So let's see. Now, again, where's a good place to go for more information? The best place to go for more information is really cloud.netapp.com. You'll find out a lot more about anything that we have in the cloud, but specifically more about the Cloud Sync service. If you can't remember the datafabric.io URL, or by going to the AWS Marketplace and looking for Cloud Sync, come to cloud.netapp.com. This will direct you in the right direction. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention as well is that in the lower right-hand corner, you have a little chat icon. This is my team. This is me. This is the rest of my team. And if you have a question or a concern or an issue, simply click on the chat service, enter your question. If one of us is online, we'll respond immediately. If we're not online, then it will send us an email and we'll respond to you as soon as we can. But with that, let's see if we can go back to Q&A and see if I can find my Q&A pane. I can't seem to find it right now because you guys have been quiet since I went over to the demo. Let's see. Attendees, here it is. Where's questions and answers? Whoops. So let's see. Hands raised. Questions. Come on. Let's see, all questions. So I'm not seeing the Q&A pane anymore, so I apologize. I can't see if there's any other questions, but I do appreciate you guys attending. I'm hoping I'll go through the webinar service here, find the other questions that may have come in, and then be able to respond to those and also provide the recording out on the service. So I really do apologize for the slight technical difficulty with not being able to see any additional questions. But again, we'll get those from the webinar service. I'll get, and then we will respond to those and provide those out to you in an email for the link to the recording, a link to the slides, and then also the answers for all the questions. With that, thank you everyone for attending. I hope you found this useful. And if you have any other questions, please log in, please access cloud.netapp.com. You can access via the chat service, or you can contact me directly at hill@netapp.com. Again, thank you for attending, and have a great day.